For more on this, I'm now joined live by Ricardo Baretzky, President of the European Centre for Information Policy and Security. Mr. Baretzky, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, do you think the blockade is a sign of widespread discontent over the EU's migrant policies, or just an isolated incident?
Well, we have said before, and we have warned before from the ECIPS side, that this issue is about to escalate. If you just recall a few weeks ago on the very same interview, we mentioned that there's a risk of far-right groups paying attention to this issue. What we have to pay attention here is the type of danger that is posed to the security of Europe as a whole. And this sends a message on both sides that things is not right, something is not right. And at the same time, it sends a message, while it's okay to do what you want to do. The fact remains is that there's a risk factor that the law and order as a whole could break down eventually. And that has to be paid attention to, particularly when it comes to these type of events that we are witnessing today.
Well, this comes after authorities have evicted parts of the Calais camp and relocated some of those migrants. So do you think these measures are solving a problem or just shifting it to a new location?
It's a very difficult situation. Yes, I think there's a part of the problem can be solved if the migrants also is willing to come the extra mile. It's clear here that the government is doing its best to go the extra mile to solve the problem. But it takes both sides to work together. And the problem here that we are seeing is that is the potential risk within the migration issue as a whole, whereby the collaboration from their side is not necessarily coordinated. You must remember, when you have two parties, you have to have a coordination program in place. The question is what coordination program is in place to facilitate the migrants' voice towards the government at that point in time. And I think there's a disconnection, and this is about to escalate.
Looking at the bigger picture now, overall, how well do you think the EU is dealing with the crisis?
Some parts of EU is doing what I can. We must remember, we have said this before, and we have warned also before that the EU has not dealt with this type of crisis before since 1945, right? So the people today have to pay attention that the experience needs to be expanded, if I may say so. And the risk factor is, yes, that we deal with a new generation that don't know the risk factor associated with these type of events that we are witnessing. Is the European Union doing enough? I think a lot more can be done. I think we have to pay attention to randomly make decisions without the proper voice of the experts. You know, we have seen already in the past year whereby the experts' voices is not really paid attention to. We strongly invite the European Commission to listen and pay attention to the reports issued by the ECIPS. They haven't done that. And I think this issue is about to escalate over the next 18 months in Europe for sure.
If I may I ask you, what do you think are the key measures that should be taken to solve the crisis?
The problem that we have now is that the point of no return has been reached. So to solve the problem that could have been avoided is a little bit more complex than before. Have they paid attention to this 18 months ago, then we could have made preparation. When you have a crisis situation, you need a CERT program. Therefore, you need a management or risk or critical risk management program. Why? Because we have the critical infrastructure here at risk. One of them is transport. One of them is the infrastructures of the government. And the critical infrastructure risk management program has not been prepared before this happened. And now they're sitting with a situation, can we solve it? It's not that simple. I wish to say, well, we have a one-stop solution. At this moment, there is no one-stop solution, but before there's any solution, all the parties on the table have to begin to talk. And when different parties make this different direction, they're not all talking. Talking is going to bring them all together, and this is the key factor at this moment.
Mr. Baretzky, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us your thoughts today. Ricardo Baretzky, President of the European Centre for Information Policy and Security.